Imagine paying someone to care for your body and never seeing them again. In Victorian England, this didn't happen once. It happened hundreds of times, and for decades, no one realized the same woman was behind it. Amelia Dyer promised desperate mothers a loving home for their children. Her letters were warm, her words reassuring, but behind the kindness was a system that allowed children to vanish without questions, and a woman who learned how to exploit it. This is the story of how one of Britain's most notorious crimes hid in plain sight, and why it took years and countless lives before anyone stopped it. Amelia Elizabeth Dyer was born Amelia Hobley in 1837 in Pyle Marsh, near Bristol, England. She was the youngest of 5 children in a working-class family led by a successful shoemaker. Unlike many women of her time, she learned to read and write, a skill that would later become central to her deception. Her early life was marked by responsibility far beyond her years. Amelia's mother suffered from severe mental illness, and as a child, Amelia was expected to help care for her during violent and unpredictable episodes. When her mother died in 1848, Amelia was only 11 years old. Those early experiences left lasting effects. Loss, instability, and emotional strain shaped her long before anyone knew her name, and they set the stage for what came next. But Amelia's story doesn't begin with cruelty. It begins with opportunity. To understand how Amelia Dyer operated, it's essential to understand Victorian England itself. In 1834, Britain passed the Poor Law Amendment Act. One consequence of this reform was that fathers of children born outside marriage were no longer legally required to support them. For unmarried mothers, this created a crisis. Pregnancy outside marriage carried intense stigma, limited job prospects, and little access to public assistance. For many women, there were only 2 options: workhouses or baby farmers. Baby farmers advertised themselves as caretakers who would raise infants for a one-time fee or arrange adoptions. Some provided genuine care, many did not. Oversight was minimal. Deaths were poorly tracked, and infants without legal identities could disappear without records. This legal and social vacuum created the perfect environment for exploitation, and Amelia Dyer knew exactly how to use it. After training as a nurse and a midwife, Amelia married George Thomas in 1861 and had a daughter. When Thomas died in 1869, Amelia was left widowed and financially vulnerable. She turned to baby farming, at first possibly with legitimate intentions. But over time, something changed. Amelia began placing newspaper advertisements under names like Mrs. Harding and Mrs. Thomas, offering respectable homes and promising to do her duty by that dear child. Her letters were persuasive, gentle, and final. She encouraged mothers to agree to full adoption with no future contract, framing separation as the best possible outcome. Once payment was made, the mothers were told they would never need to worry again. Most never heard another word. And slowly, quietly, the children began to die. Historical records show that infants in Amelia Dyer's care died at rates far higher than expected, even for the era. Whether through neglect or deliberate harm, one reality became clear. The faster a child died, the less money Amelia had to spend, and the sooner she could accept another payment. For years, this pattern went unnoticed, but eventually someone did ask questions. In 1879, a local doctor became alarmed by the number of infant deaths linked to Amelia and alerted authorities. She was arrested, but not for murder. The charge was neglect. Her sentence? 6 months of hard labor. For most people, prison would have ended the operation. For Amelia Dyer, it became a lesson. She learned what to avoid, who not to involve, and how to disappear before anyone noticed patterns. When she was released, she didn't stop. She adapted. After prison, Amelia stopped involving doctors altogether. She changed names, moved constantly from Bristol to Reading, Cardiff, London. Records were fragmented. No centralized tracking existed. And when children died, she made sure their bodies were never examined. She disposed of remains herself, wrapping them, weighing them down, and placing them in rivers or secluded locations. Without bodies, there were no inquests. Without inquests, there were no questions. For nearly 2 decades, she repeated the same cycle, until one small mistake broke everything open. On March 30th, 1869, a bargeman working near Reading noticed a box by the River Thames. Inside was the box of an infant girl. This time there was a clue. Faint writing on the package pointed to Mrs. Thomas and an address. Police, already alert to baby farming abuses, followed the trail. To confirm their suspicion, they used a decoy, a young woman posing as a desperate mother seeking care for her baby. When Amelia arrived for the meeting on April 3rd, she expected payment. Instead, she was arrested. When authorities searched Amelia's house, the smell of decomposition lingered. No bodies were found inside, but the evidence told a different story. There were letters from anxious mothers asking about their children, telegrams arranging adoption, receipts for advertisements, materials used to handle infants. Investigators pieced together her movements and estimated that hundreds of children may have died under her care, possibly more than 400 over nearly 30 years. The scale stunned the nation. At her trial at the Old Bailey in May 1896, Amelia claimed she was mentally unwell. The jury deliberated for only minutes. She was convicted of the murder of baby Doris Marmon and sentenced to death. On June 10, 1896, Amelia Dyer was executed at Newgate Prison at the age of 58. But her death did not end the story. Public outrage exploded. Newspapers published lists of missing children. Mothers searched old letters, wondering if their baby had ever lived beyond the handoff. Amelia Dyer's crimes exposed the dangers of unregulated childcare and forced Parliament to act. In the years that followed, Britain passed the Infant Life Protection Act of 1897 and later the Children's Act of 1908, laws that introduced oversight, inspections, and accountability into childcare and adoption. Protection that exists today were born from what went wrong then. Amelia Dyer didn't operate in secrecy. She operated in a system that allowed her to. Her story isn't just about cruelty. It's about how laws change only after unimaginable harm. And it leaves us with a question still worth asking today. How many systems only protect the vulnerable after tragedy forces them to? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more historical stories that shape the world we live in.